So I'm here today with none other than Jesse Mogle. Jesse, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your show, Matthew. It's I love getting out there and talking about what we love best.
This is a defining moment in history. You know that we're creating history right here, right now.
We are. Whether anyone's going to care about the history that we're making, I don't know.
For us, it's important for us.
It's important for us. No one will build a statue. We will start raising funds immediately for a statue to commemorate this moment.
Yes, and it may be a small statue to start with, but great things begin with acorns and. Listen, let me tell people about Jesse Mogle very, very brief. I have one line here. Jesse, you are an ideationist, a perpetual knowledge seeker. You are a world citizen, and you're a bee enthusiast.
Yeah, that pretty much sums me up. I think I tell that to everyone. I think I sign my emails with it. It's definitely on my website. That pretty much sums me up. Yeah.
But you've done some great stuff. So I was checking out your numerous YouTube channels. So there's Disposable Trends, which is just fantastic. It's like a latter-day Wayne's World, but
Yeah.
but really funny stuff. So that's, and it's a shame that that's not carrying on. There's your documentary that you were putting together, which was Searching for Something, which was brilliant. There's Jesse is Ridiculous, which I have no idea why you call it that, because you totally won't. There's the Accept on the West Coast talk show. There are approximately 3 million red carpet interviews that you've done with people.
Yeah, I kept myself extremely busy. I have a lot of ideas, and so because of the mediums that we're allotted now with social media and with YouTube and with how cheap cameras are, I just launch ideas, and if they stick, if I like them, I keep them going. Like Disposable Trends was a great show. My host moved out of our apartment and moved far further away from me, so we had to put that on hiatus for a little while. But yeah, I keep myself busy. You got to keep yourself busy in Hollywood.
Yeah, but the bees. Come on, let's talk about the bees. Forget about all this Hollywood stuff. I want to. So bees. So what do you do? Where do you keep your bees in LA?
Well, I don't personally keep bees. I was actually looking into finding out if my landlord would allow us to put a beehive on the roof of our house. And from all the research I've done, it seems that not everyone should keep bees, especially when you live in an apartment complex where a lot of people who may not like bees as much as you live. But my infatuation with bees stems from just my eating healthy and realizing how important they are to all of the food that we eat on a regular basis, and the colony collapse disorder that was going on, it still is. So I have an infatuation. Had I known that we were going to talk so much about bees right off the bat, I would have worn my Love Bees, They Make Your Lunch shirt. I'm obsessed with bees to the point where that's one of the reasons why I launched my podcast. Was I actually want to have a weekly or monthly interview with bee farmers and people who deal with bees strategically.
Sure.
And in fact, I've got some interviews lined up for my August episodes where I'm actually going to start launching my interviews, where I do something similar to what you're doing, Matthew.
Yeah.
And my first people are going to be people who work specifically with bees.
Wow. So you can create some real buzz.
Yes. I think most people have caught on to the fact that bees are important to our society and to what we eat. I just don't think they realize how much human action is actually causing their demise, whether it be Monsanto or DuPont and the poisons they spray all over our food. The reason, there's some mite issues that we're having, but even those mites got here from Asia. How did they get here from Asia? We shipped things from Asia and it got into their hives. So no matter what's going on with them, we're pretty much at fault for why they're all dying.
Well, I mean, that's so when you thinking about why don't you just put a hive up there anyway? Because I'm sure that there probably isn't, because they're not pets. Because I don't think you can stroke a bee. But I guess you probably could you could probably buy a bee stroking stick or something.
You could. They're tiny and they're a little feisty. So I think if you approach them in the wrong angle, they might fight back. From what I've read, if you just go and put beehives up, and then for whatever reason, let's say somebody gets attacked by them, which is not going to happen, but let's just say that somebody ended up on the roof of my house and kicked the hive, they would get stung a lot, and then they could sue me. So it has to be something where you're able to protect them. If you owned a home with a yard, you could put them there for what it's different when you own the house. But even then, I think they want you to have a certain amount of land. You couldn't just put it in like a tiny backyard. You have to have a certain amount of property.
You can't put it in your bedroom and leave the window open.
No. No, that would be. I personally am not afraid of bees. They could be swarming around me right now, and I'd have no problem. I think they would not like being confined to a bedroom situation.
What if can you not start with one bee, maybe?
But one bee would get bored, and he'd want to bring his friends, and so either he would leave, and then I couldn't handle that heartbreak.
I guess they're very, yeah. I mean, and where would you buy bees? Do you buy them by the pound or something? Or
actually, yeah, you can buy them. You can buy a mail order. They will actually mail you. They will mail you bees. Even easier is to just build a hive and centralize it into. I don't even think, if I remember reading correctly, you don't even need to buy a whole hive of bees as much as you need a queen. And I think that they can mail you the queen. I don't think they need to mail you a whole bunch of.
Just imagine this. Yes. And thank God we do this online, because I can imagine the telephone conversations. Hello, I'd like you to mail me a queen.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. I mean, I guess, if a big box of bees, they would make noise. They probably wouldn't like being jostled around. I know that you can get them mailed to you. I just don't know how they would arrive to you. I've also seen online, I posted it on my website, MediaMogle.com. I did a story about how you can build your own hive and put it out in your backyard. And one way or another, I think it can populate itself. But in order for a hive to thrive, it has to have a queen. And queens won't just leave one hive and go to the next unless there's danger. And so the likelihood that a queen would just show up in your hive in the backyard is very, very unlikely. You could probably, I know for a fact, you could plant a ton of flowers and they might come hang out in your yard, but it doesn't mean that they're going to stay in your yard.
You could put a sign up, I suppose. You could put something in like the equivalent of bee language.
Yes. Yes. Maybe get, because
queen wanted.
Right. And put it on some big speakers and just blast it out. And it's whatever, because they have little sounds they make that only they can hear.
Yeah, I've seen the films where aliens sort of send messages, like a bit of Morse code. So there must be someone who's done a study where if you send this signal out, because ideally what you want is a queen to come from someone else's hive, because then you know that queen works, and because you could end up with a duff queen.
But then in theory you've just killed that other hive, and so you want more queens. I for one, all the bees you see fly around that get pollen, they're all females. It's just the way that it works. There's bees that are males and they stay in the hive. The females are the ones who leave. What makes a female that just goes out and gets pollen versus a female that's a queen? I don't know. Is it 1 in every million bee eggs, bee larvae turn into a queen? And then is there some sort of, some West Side Story thing where the young queen wants to overthrow the older queen, and that's how one leaves the hive, and then you get to snag her out of midair and put her in your hive? I clearly need to do more research on this, because I don't feel like I adequately know how to answer some of these hypotheses.
I think there's probably a secret society of beekeepers where people are fed misinformation, and the real story is kept to the cognoscenti. So there's maybe 3 people in the world who really know how this works. So somehow we have to break into.
Yeah, some Knights Templar kind of nonsense, where it's only a few select people are allowed to know, and it's passed down upon generation from generation.
And there could be some sort of direct correlation between beekeeping and your ability to grow an email list or Facebook followers, because it's all colony based. So
it is. It is. If you could just magically get a colony to show up in your backyard, you're probably pretty good at building a social media following too.
See, these are parallels that people just don't understand, and we're breaking this open to them.
We are. It's your forward thinking. This is the kind of thinking, Matthew, that's going to take you places.
People should be grateful listening to this.
I really think that they should immediately start up a Kickstarter / fundraiser for us so we can build our statue.
Yeah, we need a bee. We need a Kickstarter campaign to buy a queen. Yes.
If the next time we do this and all of a sudden I have a hive sitting behind me instead of this awesome Japanese 3-door thingy, then you'll know that the gods have worked their magic, because I'm not, and all joking aside, it is one of my dreams to own a large piece of property like we did when I was a kid, and to have a lot of beehives on it. When I was younger, we lived on a family farm. Before that, when we lived in the city, the woman who babysat us when I was real young, like 6 or 7, her next door neighbor had a lot of beehives. And when I say a lot, it was those white boxes. Everyone pictures beehives that humans keep as these big white boxes, and that's pretty accurate. This guy next door had them stacked on top of each other. And I just remember there being, if I remember correctly, 6 columns with 3 boxes in each, and they were all over his backyard. And they never stung us. We played in the backyard all the time. The big red ant beds, those were what you needed to watch out for. But the bees next door seemed to mind their own manners.
It's funny because I was honestly looking online on Amazon because I was just thinking, how do you buy bees? And there's some amazing gear you can buy. So there are, you buy I've written it down here somewhere. It's there's a polycotton beekeeper suit with foldable square veil, heavy-duty brass zippers, durable double-stitch pockets, and deluxe canvas carrying case. You can actually buy all this beekeeping gear. I mean, you could people. Listen, in LA, fake it till you make it. Why not just buy the beekeeping outfit and, go for a walk down Rodeo Drive or something, and people go, hey, there goes Jesse Mogle, the bee guy. Have you thought about that?
That is a genius idea. I'm going to launch a show where I just walk around in a beekeeper's outfit and interview people, asking them what they actually know about bees. I think that is genius.
We just, that BBC moment where
you got a BBC moment. What's up with the kid? Yeah, I love it. See, this is kids and bees, very, very similar in the fact that you can't really control when they want to hang out with dad or what they want to do. Look at that, a little adorable munchkin.
Yes, exactly. So, so I'm now waiting for the.
you both have really
noisy second moment when the door comes open. My wife is going. Ah!
You both have really awesome hair. I wish I was a part of your family, so I had awesome hair.
Apparently, royal jelly does it.
Royal jelly?
Yeah, you get it from bees. Have we talked about that?
I'm writing royal jelly down. If it's really from bees, I'm getting bees just to rub. Ooh, what if you could do that?
You can. I mean, you can. I don't think all it'll do will just make your hair sticky. I'm not sure if it actually does anything good, but actually, go and say bye-bye.
Bye.
Now go. Thank you. That's so sweet. We're going to keep that in.
You should totally keep that in. There's no editing. No, I am a firm believer that the opposite of awesome is editing. So I try to stay away from editing as much as possible.
But but listen, coming back to royal jelly, there were all sorts of theories about the value of royal jelly and the magical properties it has. So
what is it?
It's stuff that the Queen makes.
Oh, really? Oh,
listen, I'm going to have to edit this out because clearly, we can't go on air to our 3 listeners and have you admit that you don't know what royal jelly is.
I know.
I promise you, I'm not making this up.
No, I think the royal jelly is what the larvae feed off of.
Oh, okay. So now you're an expert on royal jelly suddenly.
No, but it just makes sense.
Google it.
No, but it makes sense that while honey is a byproduct of what the bees work towards and do, royal jelly is probably the main ingredient of when they build the honeycomb.
Yes.
Maybe it has something to do with providing the nutrients for the hive.
It is. And also, I know we're sort of doing this bee thing to death, but if you think about the complexity of the honeycomb structure and these sort of hexagons, and you have no idea how they make this stuff out of flowers. So if someone said to you, Jesse, here are a bunch of flowers, go and make some honey and some extremely accurate hexagonal structures, would you know where to start?
I would not. It's funny you bring this up, Matthew, because I actually saw was it a YouTube video? Again, I obsess about bees, where it talked about how it must have been years of evolution that got the bees to the hexagon structure, because it is the one that actually utilizes the most space within the dimensions allotted. Like a circle wouldn't work, a square wouldn't work, even a triangle wouldn't work. The way that it's set up, a hexagon it maximizes the space. And so you got to imagine the beginning bees were probably just trying a bunch of stuff, and then somehow they came across with a hexagon. They've got hundreds of thousands of years of evolution on this. Us humans just we just figured out how to use battery powered cars like yesterday.
Yeah, but it does. I mean, bees. I mean, they're not that smart because it doesn't take long, does it? I mean, if you just, I mean, you could just have a whole bunch of bees just on a flat surface, and we'll say, well, let's try it. Okay, so you bring 50 of your mates. Well, let's try a couple of circles and see if that works. I mean, why do you need thousands? And that's why bees are where they are and why we've got electric cars.
Yeah, there isn't it. I mean, this does seem like there's an inefficiency to what they do because you need so many thousands to create a really healthy living hive. But I feel like somewhere there's, if it was like the bee movie, somewhere there's like the smart little nerdy bee with the glasses and the clipboard, and he's running the numbers and he's like, I'm running efficiently as possible. And if you heard us talking smack about him, we might find bees at our front door tomorrow. And I don't know if we don't want that.
I mean, listen, I just feel that I should explore this with you because, if you're obsessed by bees, it's kind of my job to say, Jesse, come on, have you really thought about this? Or are you just going thinking bee, 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 bee? Is there,
Yeah, I mean, I love all things that creature related. And I just think that because bees are responsible for, I think, 80% of the food is what I've researched. It's just important that we care about them. We should care more about them than we do cows. Although we should also treat cows better, but that's a whole other conversation. But yeah,
we should treat cows better than bees.
We should treat them equal, but we should definitely stop shooting cows full of hormones. But at the same time, we should stop spraying poison all over our crops, which is causing the bees to go to the crops and then bring the poison back into the hives and thus poisoning the hives from within. So in a few more months, once I've interviewed more people about bees, I feel like I could call myself a bee expert. Right now, I think bee enthusiast is the accurate term.
Or a beginner.
That's 2 puns now. You've gone in. I'm very happy with your quick wit.
No. I have pages of this.
That's why I love you, man. You come prepared. You come prepared.
No, it's these are just blank sheets of paper. Don't worry. In the edit, I'll superimpose words. But so standing on the red carpet, microphone in hand, are you thinking about bees when you're interviewing Jessica Alba?
No, but I think Jessica Alba, she makes a really awesome line of health products, and I believe I remember doing all my bee reading that some of her products actually have organic, which I'm not really sure how you make sure that honey's organic, but I know unless you only have bees in organic fields, but bees can go do whatever the hell they want. You can't just say, bee, stay here in the organic field, don't go to the non-organic field.
Yeah,
I digress. She definitely has products that have organic honey in them, if I remember correctly. So no, I am able to put the bee infatuation behind me at sometimes.
That's good. I'm sorry to stop you, but I'm glad you've admitted it's an infatuation. I feel we're making progress here.
By the time this is over, I might need to seek some therapy about my bee love. But I'll say this: when you start talking to women while you're trying to start up a conversation, they are not nearly as impressed with my bee knowledge as you are.
Well, it's okay. I mean, but there's a time and a place for everything,
Yeah, not on first dates when you're breaking the ice, apparently.
But it's important. I mean, if you're really passionate about bees, I think it's important that you just get that across. Because, I mean, that passion can flow into someone else. And it's probably worth following someone, because if you started a conversation about bees and the woman, your target, started walking away, it is entirely legitimate that you follow her and say, look, now it's become education. First of all, it was about flirting and picking you up. Now I feel you need to know about this stuff. So spread, there could be, what would the bee equivalent of Tinder be?
Beater? No, buzzer.
Buzzer.
Because exactly. It sounds like buzz her, like I'm going to buzz you up. I'm going to give you a call. But it's also got the buzz and, the buzzers on their butts. Buzzer.
Because wasn't there I remember listening to one of your videos, watching one of your videos, and you were talking about a particular app that you were just fixated on. Began with B as well. We might have to.
Blinkist.
Yeah, exactly. What was
Blinkist? Wow, you've been listening to my podcast. I'm impressed because I on Fridays I do the Blink of the Week, and that I am
absolutely right.
I am obsessed with Blinkist because I don't have a lot of time to read. I read tons of magazine and newspaper articles and different stories on the web for ideas for my podcast. But as far as like sitting down and reading a 250-page book, the time isn't necessarily there. So Blinkist is the app I listen to.
So what is it? So we'll put a link on the show, but that's a great app because people that clearly want to find out more about all this sort of stuff. So there is this real drive to consume stuff, information. And, so that's that app. What does it do? Does it sort of compress a book into 5 words or something like that?
It does. What it basically does is somebody has gone off and been kind enough to read a whole long book, and then they take it and they break it up into what they call blinks. They don't call them chapters, it's blinks. Yes. And so they've taken these long books and they've just condensed them into about 15 minutes. And when you hear, because you think about it, most of the time you can just write an outline for a book and you pretty much get your point across. The rest of it's just fluff or storytelling to keep the reader compelled, because you're not going to make a whole lot of money selling a 7-page book. But these people have managed to turn it into an app, and so they take out the best parts of it, and when it's done, you sit there thinking, do I really ever need to read the book? Because they just gave me a great outline and giving me more, giving me extraneous information or stories about why I should believe what you're saying. I don't necessarily need that. If your theory or the information you're putting over to me is sound and it's coming from a source I trust, I'm good.
I think that's good because it certainly gives you the ability to consume large numbers of books and then decide if you want to do a deep dive into that particular book.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. I sometimes you just don't have the same amount of time to sit down and read. Wouldn't we all like to be able to read as much as we want? And it's just not possible.
Because and again, one of your podcasts, you were talking about the Pomodoro technique, and that was actually really interesting because just actually trying to figure out how you break things down into steps. So rather than saying, I want to, as you mentioned, I want to tidy up my house, you break it down. So that came from a Blinkist sort of.
It did, and it turns out once I started, I told my massage therapist about the Pomodoro technique, and next thing I know, she's jumping on her phone, and there's actually apps for your iPhone that will help you break down your little 25 to 45 minute long, work, and then you take your 5 to 15 minute break depending on how long you've worked. And I think a lot of people, you put something big like build website on your to-do list. There's like 75,000 moving parts on that. You really should break it up into something more manageable, or you won't feel like you've actually accomplished anything.
Yes, and also, again, one thing I picked up was your view of children, that children should be locked in a closet with a raccoon.
So
can we just explore this, please, Jesse?
But not your children. Your children are cool.
No, I'm all in favor of that. I mean, there are times, you're absolutely right. I mean, we're talking about disposable or information that is delivered for consumption. So face bragging. So in other words, I'm going to post pictures of my kids on the web or on Facebook. They're always going to be the smiley ones. But I can tell you that little blonde beauty that was sitting on my lap not 10 minutes ago, has the ability to scream where you can hear him from 9 miles. So, putting him in a room with a raccoon would be a brilliant idea, actually.
It really is. It became a joke some years ago when I was dating a woman with a child who acted up. She's like, I just don't know what to do. I wish I could just, give it away to a babysitter and take care. I was just like, or put him in a closet with a raccoon and say, you don't get to come out till you behave. The kid's going to start behaving immediately. And she knew I was joking, but at the same time, she thought it was a horrible idea. And so it just became a running gag. Every time her kid acted up, I was like, want me to go get a raccoon? I'll get a raccoon right now. And we got a lot of laughs from it. So even though that woman's gone, the joke still remains in my life.
I'm just trying, but again, I had this visualization, this sort of comic visualization of this kid sitting, in one corner of the room, sort of, arms folded, and the raccoon doing the other thing going, well, what do we do now?
I picture it being very dark and both of them being very scared and a fight breaking out. And, Darwin, survival of the fittest. If the kid comes out, the kid was meant to go on. Raccoon comes out, best that now that you have a weak child.
But at least you've adopted a raccoon. You can say, well, and there are dozens of uses for raccoons. I mean,
there are so many. I mean, if you're ever hungry, they are really great at foraging for food in garbage cans. I mean, come on.
But this is all about face bragging, though, isn't it? So the point here is that people post stuff because they're creating. I mean, there are people out there, frankly, that want to be beekeepers. I'm bringing it back just for a moment, but are never going to be beekeepers. But there are probably people on Facebook who have pretended to be beekeepers. They have, and they've bought the polycotton beekeeper suit with foldable skirt, canvas carrying case, and have posted pictures of them, photoshopped in the bees. And so what is happening to our society when this sort of stuff is happening?
Well, I was going to do that, but now you make me, now that when you say it out loud, that does sound like a crazy idea. In fact, I think one of my podcasts was on dating and how and dating in the 21st century with the phones in front of you. And in our society, we've got to the point where now we have this medium that allows us to, broadcast our lives in a manner in which it's just frankly it's inaccurate. No one's ever going to post like your young child right there when the kid's having a temper tantrum and throwing his diaper across the room. You're not gonna take pictures of that and post it. But that adorable little picture of him sitting on your lap, yeah, you'll post that. So I think people they want everyone to think their lives all peachy keen when in reality, no one's life's always awesome. That's just, it's not possible.
No, you're right. But there's this idea that when you meet up with someone that you've already done your research, you've checked out their Facebook pages, you've got the information that they posted on whatever dating app they're using. So, is it dead? Is this the whole way that we're meeting now? Is it destined for failure, or is it going to carry on? Is it going to be the end of humanity?
Well, it's certainly not a positive thing because here's the thing with the dating sites. Most of them keep your real name hidden, so you can't do too much cyber stalking before the actual event unless you're just really good at decrypting,
there's face recognition technologies.
Exactly. You could just pop their picture out and do all that. I preferred myself not to cyber stalk before I meet them because I don't want to know every little thing. Yeah. But at the same time, yeah, you go on, Match.com or Plenty of Fish, and it's like I'll filter out people who are vegetarians and vegans, not because I have a problem with them, but I like to cook, and I don't want every single time I want to cook them to be like, I've got to make 3 extra side dishes because they don't want to have a 4-ounce piece of chicken breast. And so you start filtering out people that could actually be a really good match for you. Yeah. You've seen it. You see the guy who's dating or married way above his grade, or the woman vice versa, or you see somebody who's a vegetarian hanging out with somebody who only eats meat. Like it's possible. But with these dating apps, we start to filter each other out based on, and most of the time I feel I'll be the first chauvinistic dude to admit this on the history of a podcast. I mean, come on. I look at all the pictures first, and if they're attractive, then I'll read the rest of the stuff. But if
that's how it works. But that's why it works, because it taps into this, primeval way of how we actually select our partners.
Oh, absolutely. It does. And it does it in such a way that there's no opportunity for them to really get their personality involved. So you can't be like, oh, that guy's not, for a girl, be like, yeah, I know she's not that cute, but she's got a great personality, which I know people have always made fun of, but let's face it. It's like saying I read Playboy. I read Playboy for the articles. Yeah, in this day and age, I do read Playboy for the articles. There's naked women all over the internet. It's the same thing with the personality. She can have a great personality, which ultimately wins your heart. But with Tinder, there is no chance for her personality to shine. You've already swiped left, and you'll never see her again.
There has to be some way that we can bring it back. There needs to be some way that we can show pictures of dogs rather than smiling and doing tricks on their back feet. We want to have pictures of dogs ripping your garbage open.
Yes, and eating your shoes.
And eating your shoes, exactly. Not just your shoes, but your favorite shoes.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Like the ones you've had for 12 years, you've had resold twice.
Exactly, yes. I say that from experience because that has indeed happened. So there is that. But also, I also want to talk to you about your view on electronics. I see you have a laptop on your desk there. And is that safe? Are you likely to spike your laptop at some point in the future?
You really have done your research, Matthew. I'm gonna give you some mad props because that was part of the electronic one, and that was my patience in LA. I ultimately, it's somewhere around here. I kept it. I did spike that mouse up against the wall. It did shatter into multiple pieces. I did manage to put it back together because I'm thinking about buying another one on Amazon and then keeping the new one and then sending back the old one and telling them that it hit the ground and broke and it doesn't work.
But don't worry, because they're not listening to this, so you're secret. But the story there was you had a mouse, so the mouse didn't work, and so you went back to the advice of our forefathers when dealing with television sets, which is to give it a good slap on the side.
Oh yeah. If people don't remember a day and age where you could actually physically abuse your electronics and without worrying that they would break, they're really missing out on an amazing part of human civilization.
But it did used to work, but it used to work for very different reasons. And when you slap the side of the TVs, because they had parts that would sort of fall out, and then by slapping you'd actually put them back in. But that doesn't work with mouses and
Mises.
No, the Mises into pieces, but it's fascinating because then you sort of develop this slightly sort of psychotic, if I may say, approach to, and you were then searching for anything electronic to see if it would blend a break or.
Yeah, upon looking, and I have a lot of electronics in my room, and looking at most of them, they would not fare well if they were spiked off of the ground. I'm using this Apple mouse now, which I hate. I think it's got horrible tracking. And just the other day it stopped working so well and I started banging it on the desk and it definitely did not work for like 10 minutes.
Have you considered changing the batteries?
Well, I checked the thing lets you see the battery level and it said 49% and like, okay, 49% is good.
That's enough. Still work. Yeah, I mean, it's fine because I am with you there because I remember years ago I had this combined fax machine and printer which stopped working, couldn't figure out why. So in a very Monty Python-esque way, I took it outside onto the patio and jumped on it several times. Honestly, just to have the satisfaction of destroying it so that at least I knew why it wasn't working.
So then you basically did what I was saying. Because
absolutely. So it resonated.
Absolutely.
It is absolutely not crazy behavior. It's about us being challenged by technology and trying to find out how we connect and what the reasoning is. So if the mouse stops working, if you spike it off the ground, then you now know why it's not working. And there's a huge amount of satisfaction in that.
Huge. I would rather know why something is broken than only wonder. And so if it's in multiple pieces or, then that's it. You're like,
and you can move on. So you can move on at that point.
You need closure.
Yeah. And that's
you need closure. That humans need more closure. That should be the motto for the show.
And what we could do is we could actually set up some sort of Amazon affiliate link so that if people want to destroy their stuff to find out that it doesn't work, but we know why, we can give them the ability to replace it with a small discount. And we can maybe, some of the profit we make, we could send off to a local bee foundation. See,
again, forward thinking like that, Matthew, is going to take you places.
And that was nothing like forward thinking. You're right.
Well, if people are going to do that, then I want to start a website where people send in videos of them breaking their electronics and taking out their rage against them. Because as far as I'm concerned, breaking something on your own is nowhere near as satisfying as having a video showing you break it.
Rage Against the Machine.
Very good. Very good. A great band and a good message.
I think that's that. So, well, I think there's a lot of stuff that we've deconstructed here, both literally and metaphorically. So
we have solved all the world's problems. I honestly, when I walk outside the house now, Syria should be taken care of. They should be good to go. And world hunger.
Yeah. Well, we'll do world hunger's next. No, you're right. I think it's so easy. I mean, why don't people spend time like we're doing solving global problems? They should. Easier than you think. I mean,
Absolutely. If people need water, we have a Costco here. There's tons of water there. We should just buy that water and mail it to them. Yeah. Boom. Water problem solved.
Yeah, it's people, they just make life so much more complicated. So,
they do. We see a problem and a quick solution. They see a problem and a reason to bitch and moan.
Yeah, I think unfortunately that is a problem that is just widespread, but we should find out, how we can deal with that. But I think we should save that for the next show, Jesse. Yeah. I can't begin to tell you how much of a pleasure it has been solving global problems, we are a pair of budding apiarists. I'd suggest that people look that up so they don't get the wrong idea of what I was trying to say then. I can't wait to get onto Amazon the moment that we finish this interview and buy my polycotton beekeeper suit with foldable square. I can't read the rest of it, but
the next time we meet up, we should totally show up wearing beekeeper outfits. Everyone would want to talk to us.
And if they don't, we wouldn't want to talk to them anyway.
Right. If you don't want to get down with me while I'm wearing a beekeeper outfit, I just really don't think we have anything else in common.
I think we should. And therein lies the majesty. But Jesse, it's been a pleasure. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show, Matthew. You take care.